let's be real, infidelity in marriage isn't just painful, it absolutely rocks your entire world. Like everything that you thought you knew just becomes a lie. And I remember how that feels. I remember that I used to describe it like my whole world was made out of glass and someone just came and smashed it. And I just was so confused. I didn't know whether I was going left or right. Like everything just crumbled. And I remember being so overwhelmed by it was like physical hurt. And I'd never really understood it until then when people said that they were hurt. I really understood that pain. And so today we're going to talk about betrayal and why it hurts so bad. We're not just going to go on the surface, we're really going to go a bit deeper into understanding this and how you can begin to pull those broken pieces of yourself back together. So when I found out about my husband's affair, it wasn't just anger that I was feeling. It was a crazy mix of fear, of confusion, of this deep level of hurt, betrayal, some relief because my marriage was a mess and I was almost sort of subconsciously praying for a way out of it, and relief from the fact that maybe I'm not going crazy because I had been picking up on so many things for so long and thinking, was the problem me? And so there was a sense of relief, but it was all these really negative emotions mixed up in one. And it was crazy because it was emotions about the past. Was everything a lie? It was confusion around the present. Like, I don't know whether what's going on, who I am right now, who this person is. I'm completely confused. And then it was dread, absolute fear for the next day, the next week, the next year. Like, what does the future hold? What does it mean? How am I going to navigate through it with my children, with this marriage, without this marriage? Like, what's going to happen? And so there's almost sort of three levels that I want to talk to you about in terms of how this betrayal can hit you and why it hurts so deeply. And the first level really looks at your attachment style and how no matter what attachment style you are, betrayal always hits and always impacts. And so for those of you that aren't so aware of attachment styles, there's sort of 3/4 main attachment styles that really talks about how we connect and respond within relationships. So there is the secure attachment style, and these people are very comfortable. They're very sure of who they are in the relationship. They can sort of have it or not, right? They don't really cling on to this relationship with their whole heart. They're very secure within themselves, what they bring to the relationship. Number two is the avoidant. These people really avoid deep connection as much as possible. They're afraid of that connection and can seem a little bit aloof. They can seem a little bit distant and they can withdraw quite easily. And then there's the anxious attachment style. These people can really start feeling anxious if attachment or connection seems to be at threat or is taken away from them. Like they really need to feel very safe and secure in this relationship and can get really anxious if there's any signs of a threat. Now, no matter which kind of attachment style you have, betrayal is going to knock you. So even the person who is very sure and confident and secure in their relationship within themselves, when a trauma like infidelity comes in, it can shift that person from feeling very secure to very anxious or avoidant. And this might impact them in their present relationship or a new relationship. If you're already somebody that is very anxious and you have an anxious attachment style, your anxiety is going to go through the roof on the back of a betrayal. It's going to be really hard for you to learn how to trust again. And if your attachment style is avoidant, then if your partner thought you was avoidant before, I mean, your walls are going to go right up. And again, you're really going to struggle with the concept of trust ever again, whether that's within this relationship or in the next. And so, no matter what your attachment style, betrayal is going to impact you. It may impact you slightly differently, but the trauma is absolutely going to rock you at your core. Now, the other aspect that I want you to consider about this is the impact that it has on the brain. Now, it is reported that infidelity impacts the brain in the same way as physical pain. That's why it hurts so much. And I really didn't know that until later on. It was a physical pain. I could literally feel my heart aching. And so it makes sense now to learn that that level of betrayal and trauma impacts the brain in the same way that physical hurt does, like as if somebody has physically attacked you. And another way that infidelity has been reported to impact people is that it alights the same part of the brain as grief does. The grief that you would experience if you'd lost a loved one or a loved one had passed away is the same or a similar level of grief that you experience when you go through infidelity or you've been impacted by this level of betrayal. This thing really hurts. And for those of you who are here and you are the betrayer, it's so important for you to understand this. A lot of the times with my coaching practice, one of the things that I'm doing in the first sort of sessions is really helping the betrayer understand on such a deep level the impact of what they've done. Because I just don't think people realize just how much damage infidelity causes. And then the third element of this is just the impact that it has on the relationship and why so many people struggle to even conceive the idea of staying together is because betrayal just completely wipes away all sense of security, all sense of trust, all sense of connection. Like, it's gone. And that's why I always tell people, once infidelity comes in, render that marriage dead. As in, it's old, it's in the past, it's gone. Because infidelity will wipe out every single form of foundation that marriage was built upon. And for the couples that want to go ahead and continue in their marriage, one of the greatest mistakes you can make is to think that you can just continue in the same marriage as it was. You have to declare that marriage as dead and gone, and you've got to start again. And that's why I find that couples can say, there was infidelity in our relationship 3-4 years ago, and they're still dealing with the same issues, and there's still no trust, and there's still no connection. That's because they thought they could literally just continue, right? They could just put a plaster on it and just keep it pushing. No, the trust is gone. You've got to start right from ground zero, brand new marriage. If you're in that position, I do have a couple of videos around how to rebuild the trust in your relationship after infidelity, and I'll link that in the description. Well, here's the kicker with infidelity. For the person who has been betrayed, it really starts to cause you to consider yourself. Is it that I'm not worthy enough? You start to wonder about your own sense of judgment. How did I end up in this situation? Why didn't I see this beforehand? Why was I stupid enough to allow this to happen around me? It's beyond blaming yourself. It's really starting to condemn yourself, really starting to question your self-worth. And like I said before, you also start fearing and questioning the future. So it really can put a person out of balance. And so this is really key. I want you to have a mindset shift about this. And if you can shift your mindset around how you've been thinking about this betrayal, this is going to be the beginning of you picking up these pieces and pulling yourself back together. Infidelity is not about you. It's not about you being worthy. It's not about you being better or needing to be better. It's not about whether you were smart enough, clever enough, sexy enough, beautiful enough, whether you did enough. It had nothing to do with you, right? And one of the things that I'm always telling the people that come to me who have been through this, the first part of their healing journey is to accept that fact. It is not your fault. And I want you to shift your mindset. It is not that you are broken. Actually, it is the betrayer who is broken. You see, the betrayer was looking for something, usually something within themselves. usually trying to fill a gap within themselves, usually trying to cover up a brokenness within themselves. It's not about you. And even if there were issues within the relationship, there was 1,001 other options that your partner could have chosen, communicating with you, going to seek help, rather than going off and betraying the very vows that they made. And so the question is, what would take somebody to risk the marriage that they have, to risk the children that they have, to risk their legacy and this vision and this thing that you have been building, to go out of that to seek for something, and in seeking for that something, absolutely blow up their own world? This is less about you and more to do with them. And I'm telling you this so that you can start to shift all that gaze that you have on yourself, all that blame and all that condemnation that you have on yourself, all the fingers that you're pointing at yourself. I want you to stop. And I want you to recognize that this is not about your worthiness. You are worthy to have somebody who will stay true to you. This is more about your partner and their brokenness. Now, whilst this is devastating, you're going to be maybe shocked to hear me say that this is also an opportunity. Usually, I find that this is the opportunity that the betrayer, if they are wise enough, can use to really identify those gaps. Like, what are you really looking for? What are you trying to cover up? What are you trying to heal? What gaps are you trying to fill? And if you guys are looking to stay together and work through this relationship, this betrayal will give you the opportunity to highlight the gaps within the relationship as well and build something absolutely amazing. It's going to force you both to lift the lid on all that you guys have been covering up for years, individually and as a couple, and deal with them head on. In terms of how you, the betrayed person, starts to navigate this healing journey that you must go on, I want to give you 3 tips to get you going. Number 1, absolutely recognize the emotions that you're feeling. Give them a name. What are you experiencing? Is it anger? Is it shame? Is it blame? Is it confusion? Understand what they are. Get rid of the ones that don't belong to you. Shame can go, blame can go instantly. But when you give these emotions names and you don't hide them, and you don't suppress them, you don't ignore them, you actually begin to disarm them. You actually begin to address those emotions. Number 2, I want you to find a safe space for addressing how you're feeling. For you, it might be journaling, it may be prayer, it may be finding help, reaching out to a coach like myself to help you navigate through the healing journey. But absolutely, again, don't just bury this and don't just carry it alone. And number 3, be kind with yourself. One of the things that I find that people do is they want to really brush this under the carpet, pull their big girl or big boy knickers on really fast and try and just navigate through it really quickly because they just desperately want things to get back to normal. And they almost start to beat themselves up every time they allow this emotion and this pain to come over them. I want you to give yourself time. I want you to be patient with yourself. I want you to be kind to yourself. Remember what I said before, this pain is almost as if you had somebody that you have loved has died and you're experiencing that level of grief. And you would not be upset with yourself for feeling that way. This is the same. Give yourself time to grieve. Don't ignore it, because if you do, believe me, it doesn't go away. It comes right back up at times that you don't even expect it. Now, if any of this video hit home with you, I want you to comment below. I'm ready to heal. I also want you to know that healing isn't linear, right? It's not always pretty. It can get ugly, but you can do it. Absolutely, you can do it. And if you are truly ready for healing, subscribe to this channel and go into the description and hit the link to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me. Let's talk about how you can experience radical transformation within yourself and, if you want to, within your marriage as well.